In this video, we're going to do a 1-point perspective word or name. So for mine, I'm going to use a name, but you can think of either a word or name for yours. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw 2 lines on here that are parallel and that are horizontal across. And these are going to be some guiding lines for my name. So I'm going to do 1 and 2. And it doesn't really matter the measurements as long as they're straight and parallel and even all the way across. And I didn't do them very dark because these are going to get erased later. So these are going to help me as far as my word goes. So we're going to do block letters, and I'm going to start off by just writing capital letters for the name that I would like to use. And I'm going to use Bantista for mine. So I'm just starting out with, as you can see, lines, letters that are going from the top to the bottom. Alright, so when I'm done with that, I'm just going to trace around each of these letters to get my block letter. So for example, right here for my B, I'm just tracing around the original letter to get my block letter. When I'm done tracing around my original letter, I'll take an eraser and I'll just erase that original letter that I had, and then I'm left with my block letter. So same thing with my A. I'll just trace around the whole thing. And if it has a center on it, I'll also have to trace around that center. Again, come on back in with my eraser and erase that original letter. And I'm going to keep going until I have all of my letters done, turned into block letters. Alright, so now you can see I have my last name, Bantista. I've erased the centers out of all of my letters, and now I have to erase also my guiding lines. I'm not too worried if I erase a little bit of my letter on accident because I can just draw that back in. But these guiding lines, like I said, that we started with, we're not keeping them. So I erased that, and I'm just going to go back in, and if I erase any of the tops of my letters, I'll get rid of those as well, or give those back as well. So now you can see I added back anything in that I accidentally erased when I was getting rid of my guiding lines. Now I'm ready for my vanishing point. So I'm going to do my vanishing point right above my name. So I'm going to find the center of my name, come on up, and then I'm going to draw a little dot. That's going to be my vanishing point. So the first step is going to be the most simple, is that we're just going to take all of the corners of the tops of our letters and attach it to my vanishing point. So the first corner over here on my B goes to my vanishing point. And then I'm going to keep going across and do all of the corners of every top of my letter. So you can see any place that I see a pointy edge, it's going to my vanishing point. And every time I'm relining up my ruler. What I don't want to have happen is line it up one time and then just keep moving my ruler across. That's not going to turn out correct. So we do need to make sure that every time it's getting lined up with the vanishing point. And you might notice I am skipping my rounded letters because I'm going to explain that part next. So after you're done and you have all of the points of the top of your name done, you're going to come back in here. Now we'll focus on those rounded letters. So those are just a little bit different. So what I'll do is I'll line my ruler up with my vanishing point and then move my ruler over slowly until it gets to the very edge of that letter. So you can see right here at my B, that's where the edge is. So my line is going to go from my B to my vanishing point. But when I run into my A, it stops. It does not start again on the other side. So that leads me into talking about the bottoms here as well. So you're still going to take all the bottom corners to your vanishing point, but when you run into another letter, you stop. So as I'm going across, every time that I run into another letter, I stop. These are solid letters. I can't see through them. So I would not be able to see that line going if I did run into a letter, right? I can't see it going behind that letter because they're solid letters. So that's why I don't have to draw all of it. And I'm also doing all the rounded parts as well. So I'm going across and doing all of the bottoms. So I'm going to come on back to this B because it's rounded, right? So again, line it up with my vanishing point and slowly move it all the way to the very edge. When it gets to the edge, that's where that receding line is going to come from. Now I need to go back through. I got the tops, I got the bottoms, but I'm missing some of the middles. So we got to check those out. So we're going to just check and see which ones need a line. So I need a little line here, little line here. So I'm checking all the middles for the points and if we could see those lines. And some of them you can see the line, and some of them you might not be able to. And sometimes we just have to check. We're not quite sure until we go ahead and try. And now I did forget the top of my S, so I can use that technique where I line it up with my vanishing point and slowly move it to the very edge. And then that's where that line comes from. Same thing with the middle of the S. Move it slowly to the edge. And then that's where it comes from. Oop, missed right here on my S. Let's see if there's anywhere else. Check my A. Yep, it needs one. And now I have all of my tops, middles, and bottoms done on my 1-point perspective name. So the next thing I'm going to do is trim these letters so they don't look like they're going on forever. I want them to look like they end at some point. So I'm going to draw a vertical line across. I'm just going to go ahead and line up my ruler with the tops of my letters and draw a line across, and everything past that line, I'm going to erase that. But that's not my last step to these block letters. The last thing that I'm going to do now is make the backs look like the fronts. So when I come back here to the back of my B, right now it looks like a rectangle. But the front of my B looks curved. Now I know that the back of this B will look the same as the front. So I have a curve here. I want there to be a curve back here. And then I will erase the excess. Same thing with my A. I have a diagonal here, so I will want a diagonal back here. Erase the excess. On my N, I have a diagonal here. I want a diagonal here. Oh, and I already see I missed my T here. So when you're doing this, you might see that you missed, and you can just add that in. Now back here, I have a straight line down, so I'll do a straight line here. For my I have a straight line, so I'll want to do a straight line on the back. My S is curved, so on the back it'll be curved. Erase all these little excess pieces. I have a straight vertical line here, so I'll do a straight vertical line here. And then I have a diagonal here, so I want a diagonal here. The last thing that I need to do is add another line for my T. So my T, this keeps going back and then it will come up. So I need to add a little line here to end my T, because if I decide to color later, otherwise this will have no end to it. So now you can see I have a 1-point perspective name.